Well, we should let people in before we call for order.
Are we ready?
Okay. We're ready.
The regular meeting of Board of Education of the Perry Local School District is called to order at 5:45 PM in the Tarboro Center Conference Room. Mr. Gallant, roll call, please.
Mrs. Foley,
Here.
Mr. Leidig. Here. Mr. Roberts. Here. Mrs. Tresker.
Here.
Mr. Welch. Here.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22, I hereby move that the board adjourn to executive session for the purpose of considering matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or regulations or state statutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
We'll be going into executive
Wait,
session
wait,
until,
let's take a roll. That's right.
sorry,
Mrs. Foley,
yes.
Mr. Leidig,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Tresker.
Yes.
Mr. Welch.
Yes.
Planning on reconvening approximately 30 minutes,
At 6:15.
6:15.
Yes.
We'll be back.
So we are in regular session right now.
Okay, welcome everyone. We are Superintendent Spotlight, Dr. Thompson.
And the star of the show just
You
walked
just
in.
walked in.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Foley. It's hard to believe that this young man is a senior. And it was a long time ago when we realized he was going to accomplish great things. And he's well on his way. And it brings us so much pleasure to really recognize Ethan tonight for some of the academic accomplishments that he's already achieved, and we're going to certainly watch as he goes on. And we've been so blessed just to have him be a part of our culture and our district, and the numerous projects that he's brought to fruition, whether it's the mountain bike loan piece or live streaming, commentating. There's just so many things that he's done to set us apart, and we appreciate that. But I'm sure Mr. Purcello will add to some of these items. And so if I could call him up right now to introduce him, it'd be great.
Yeah, thanks. It's exciting to be up here and recognize a special young man. I've met Ethan when he was in middle school, and we've had many different conversations over the years. What really stands out amongst many things, but the reason we're here tonight, he was named a National Merit Finalist. So the whole process, juniors take the PSAT during their fall year. During that spring, we learn if somebody may potentially be a semifinalist. In the fall of the senior year, we learn if somebody qualified as a semifinalist, then go through an application process to be named a finalist, which allows them to apply for the scholarship available. So some basic numbers on that. Approximately 1.6 million students take the PSAT, and to be a National Merit semifinalist, you have to be in the top 1%. Semifinalists are then invited to apply to qualify as a finalist, and in the past month, we did receive notice that he is a National Merit finalist. So congratulations to Ethan, a wonderful accomplishment, puts you in the top 1%. In addition to that, not connected to this award, but in previous testing during the spring of his junior year, he scored a perfect 36 on his ACT, which puts you in the top 0.5 of all test takers within the ACT. So pretty special when it comes to the testing results, great accomplishments. In my years, I haven't seen this yet. This is a first at this level. Also, some other things that make Ethan stand out. He's a candidate in the 2022 United States Presidential Scholarship Program. He currently is attending classes on Case Western Reserve University through a College Credit Plus program, some of our AP courses on our campus, and is involved in PSL. He has also received the distinction of honors as an AP scholar based on his AP testing scores. And by the time he graduates, my count is 12 AP courses. All right, good. I'm glad you don't know the exact number. Good. He also participated on our academic decathlon and robotics team, and is our 2022 class president. So you'll hear him speak at commencement. Athletically, he participated in the golf, tennis, and wrestling team, and recently qualified as an alternate for a state wrestling tournament. When he found out he wasn't getting into that, he drove, I think, back up to John Carroll to participate this weekend with our academic decathlon team. And you may recognize his voice from his time on our live streaming at the East Called Game since his freshman year. So overall, very impressive young man. The one thing that really stands out to me is right when we had come back from COVID during his junior year, he approached me about creating a, help me if I get the name wrong, but Pirates pedal program. We had these mountain bikes sitting there from different grant funds. They were going unused. Ethan created this like legal looking document, rather impressive, and advertised and marketed and got a number of bikes out for kids to use and adults. Because if you recall, during that time of the pandemic, it was really difficult to get outdoor equipment. So overall, he's been a pleasure to watch over the years to work with, and it's an honor to recognize him tonight. As far as college plans, my understanding is he's weighing a lot of very high-end options, and probably over the next month or two, he'll have a number of choices to make. But I'm confident that no matter what he chooses, he's going to continue to be a quality person and a contributing member of whatever community he's a part of. So, Ethan, congratulations.
Yeah, and on behalf of the Board of Education, also of Critical Schools, we want to provide you with a certificate of excellence and accommodation for all of your outstanding academic achievements over those years. And again, it's been a pleasure to watch you grow up, and we're going to keep track on all your future successes. So thank you very much. I also think, go ahead.
Make sure I'm right.
Me.
2, 3, one more, 1, 2.
Yes, we also don't forget we have some governmental entities here. I think Mayor Clough from North Prairie Village is here tonight.
Hello. Like I said, years past, this is probably my most rewarding job as mayor of North Prairie, is to recognize our youth, our young people, our future leaders, hopefully. And I was laughing outside just before we walked in, because back in the 3rd grade, this young man gave me an interview in my office. And his last question walking out, he turned to me and said, "Mayor, if you get pulled over by North Prairie Police, would you get a ticket?" And I said, "Ethan, I'm no different than anybody else." And he took one more step out and he looked back and says, "I doubt it." That's how he left me. His mother, she didn't know what to say, you know. But anyhow, Ethan, it's been rewarding watching you grow up. It really is. And we honor you. You've done a fantastic job, and good luck in your future. And North Prairie Village wants to recognize you for this proclamation. So, Ethan, thank you very much. Thank you for everything you've done.
Three, 1, 2, 3.
I wanted you up here because you were in that interview.
I didn't come to let you address the board as a 6th grader.
Let's keep representatives here from Prairie Village.
So we would like to invite you guys to our next council meeting. Mayor Gussick had work this evening, so he asked me to say something short this week. We would like to invite you guys to our next council meeting and recognize you guys. But on behalf of Prairie Village, Gina and I are here to say congratulations. Very impressive. The mayor also wanted to extend his commendation and kudos to you for the hard work that you put into your commitment to your school, to your family, to your education. It's all very impressive. So congratulations, and we'll be in contact with you.
Thank you.
Council Administrator, Mrs. Sunday.
On Township Administrator Karen Sunday. I'm here on behalf of your township trustees, Rick Amos, Bob Dawson, and Nancy Steele. At their meeting last week, they passed a resolution honoring Ethan as well for his accomplishments. And we're just proud that he's in our community and congratulate him on his future endeavors.
One, two, three. 4, 1, 2, 3.
Do that. That covers it, right? Ethan?
All three bears?
Would you like
Yeah,
to say
yeah,
a few words?
I
know the answer.
Of course.
We've been waiting for 6 years.
Yeah.
So I think the faces on the board have changed since I last addressed the Board of Education, but a lot of the administrators have remained the same. But I think last time I was at one of these meetings, I was about this tall and I weighed about the same. I gave this 10-minute ramble about how the restriction of internet access to middle schoolers was synonymous with the War of 1812. So I appreciate that everybody was willing and fought through and listened to that whole thing. But really, the success that I've had is as a direct result of the education that I've received at Perry School and from the support of the community. I recognize, Perry, we're not the biggest district, we're not the richest district, but we do a phenomenal job of using our resources to enable our students to have success. And I'm only an example of that success that's part of a much greater whole of what all the students at Perry High School and all the schools at Perry do. And I'm really thankful for the work that you guys do for our school district and our community. And I hope this is a trend of success that continues far after I graduate. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Just remember
He's very talented on the water too. We haven't added that part yet. Congratulations.
Thank you.
that concludes our spotlight on learning.
That concludes our spotlight on learning. So next on the agenda. Yeah, if anybody wants to go, if you came to the spotlight on learning, feel free to go. We won't be offended. But thank you very much for coming and congratulations again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work.
Ethan, what's the summary of the college list?
Well, we'll see. I was waitlisted by the University of Chicago and outright rejected by MIT yesterday. So we'll see. I don't really want to go there anyway. That's kind of for nerds. But we'll see where I end up.
Go.
But thank you so much for your
Good luck.
support.
Thank you. Thank you. Good luck.
So,
I want to invite MIT to our next meeting.
Yeah.
All right, next up, committee reports. Do we have any committee reports?
Rec board met yesterday, so there's a lot of good things happening down at the senior center. There's a senior center St. Patrick's Day luncheon tomorrow at 11:45, but I think you had to order sandwiches by now. There's a spaghetti dinner fundraiser coming up, so we'll have tickets for that. Jesse and I will have tickets to sell all of you, so you can go to the spaghetti dinner fundraiser. Things are going well down there, and there's an increased amount of activity. As far as youth sports, same kind of thing, good trends, a lot of kids participating. They're starting to get into baseball and softball and volleyball, and I don't think we don't do spring soccer.
No, I think they said there's what, 286 participants signed up right now for the three combined. I think there's 180 in baseball alone.
Yeah,
Good, so.
so a lot of good things happening.
Okay, thank you, you guys. Any other committee reports? Okay, next up, administrative updates. Dr. Thompson?
Thank you. Well, we hope our students enjoyed being off last Friday because staff, we were very busy on Friday with Professional Development Day. And I have to thank Dr. Malcheski and her assistant Lori Langen and all the staff who helped put together the myriad of opportunities for professional growth and training we were afforded last Friday. It was a pivotal day of learning, and we took full advantage of that. And I must say, I've been through a number of ALICE trainings, but none of them compared to the outstanding training our staff experienced last Friday. While very difficult to think through, the scenarios and the whys behind the action of the training were expertly presented. Officer Chris Patty led Sergeant Clinton Valley and Officer Sean Speck did a tremendous job, and were very sensitive to the emotions this raised in some of our staff, and also to the potential needs we may have in the future. So this is not a one and done. We're going to meet again to see what type of follow-up measures we can take to continue to do everything we can to be prepared for days that we pray never happen, and to continue to get better. Please also join us for our third and final community talk for this year, as parents, staff, and students and administrators meet to listen and build community around various school-related topics. Our next meeting will be March 22nd from 7 to 8 p.m. via Zoom, and we'll focus on community options. And so far, we want to continue the anti-bullying discussions. Anything else that we've heard, Dr. Malczewski?
It's a community choice, so they're choosing the topic, and we have standards-based grading guidelines, and
Excellent.
it's just a follow-up from the Tuesday or the February bullying discussion. I think we have some outcomes that will be well received.
And everyone's certainly invited and encouraged to attend. We would appreciate though if you would register by clicking the link in the communication that went out to all families, so that we can have some kind of an idea of how many people are coming. So please let us know. As I had said last meeting, we were trying to determine how commencement was going to be this year, and so we're going to make the formal announcement that we are going back into the competition gym. Sunday, May 22nd, competition gym, 2:30 will be commencement. Every graduating senior will receive 10 tickets at the completion of their commencement practice on May 20th. So don't skip out on the commencement practice if you want your folks to come in to see the ceremony. And there's additional information, just check on the class of 2022 webpage. On Sunday, we had an Alumni Hall of Fame committee meeting, and I'm happy to announce that the Alumni Weekend is again on the books, and will be held the weekend of September 23rd and 24th, kicking off at the Friday football game, followed by a Ridley run the following morning, which is now going to be sponsored by the Hall of Fame committee, and culminating with a Hall of Fame induction dinner that evening on Saturday. So it's exciting after 2 years to have that back in place, and we'll be inducting some new Hall of Fame, Athletic Hall of Fame members. So. And again, you know, the exciting time of the year here. We're in the eve of the banquet season, where we start to really celebrate and all the accomplishments for the year. And Ethan was a great start to that. And also, this is the time of year where we get to see the performances as well. And so I want to congratulate all of our performers. The treble choir performed at the OMEA large group adjudicated event, along with hosting most recently the Lake County Choir Festival. The band recently performed at OMEA solo and ensemble adjudicated event in Madison. Congratulations to our 7th and 8th grade students who were selected to perform at the OMA District 7 Honors Band late in February. And I hope if you were available to get to see Aladdin Jr., our Prairie Middle School play was March 4th, 5th, and 6th, 3 shows that were well attended, and I've heard great reviews. Just a wonderful, wonderful event, and met with resounding success. And I'm so appreciative of the hard work and preparation of all these students to give us this entertainment this time of year. And last but not least, you know, our 1st grade music concert and our 4th grade music concert that was held on Thursday, the 10th, we were able to once again bring all of our students together to perform in one function instead of separating them. And so it was a wonderful evening, and where they performed and celebrated Disney classics. And so here we are in those performance seasons, and congratulations to all those choir, band, and drama performers. And this concludes my administrative update.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Do we have any public participation, Gina? No one signed up? Okay. So we are on to the consent agenda. I would ask if anyone would motion to approve items B, C, which is item A, the review of minutes, the donations, and the approval of professional development. What, a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Glant.
Mrs. Foley,
Yes.
Mr. Leidig,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mrs. Tretzker?
Yes.
Mr. Welch?
Yes.
Any questions or comments? Sorry. Oh, never mind. Put that one over. Superintendent's report. Listen.
Thank you. Under A, personnel approval appointment 21-22 non-athletic supplementals. The board is asked to approve the following hourly employee for the supplemental noted at the greater rate of pay of $9.30 per hour or the amount listed as recommended by the local superintendent and director of communications. Under B, personnel approval of appointment 21-22 athletic supplementals. The board is asked to approve the employment of the individuals listed for the 21-22 athletic supplemental position and rate of pay indicated pending successful completion of required employment paperwork, certification training, and background check as recommended by the local superintendent and athletic director. Under C, personnel approval of appointment, general, casual, daily subs, certified teaching. The board is asked to approve the certified general substitutes listed for the 2021-22 school year, pending successful completion of required employment paperwork, certification training, and background check as recommended by the local superintendent and assistant superintendent. We have D, and out-of-state travel. The track is going to Waterford, PA. The board is asked to approve the out-of-state travel of the varsity track team to a 10-day meet in Waterford, PA on Saturday, April 9th, 2022, as recommended by the local superintendent and athletic director. The team will need to use a district bus for transportation to and from the meet, and it's only 70 miles away, so it meets all those standards, but it is out of state, so we have to approve it. This concludes my superintendent's report.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a second? Thank you. Discussion or questions? Okay, roll call, please, Mr.
Mrs.
Gallant?
Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Leidig?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mrs. Tretzker?
Yes.
Mr. Welch?
Yes.
I see they didn't rotate the names this time. It didn't rotate our names, did it? No, that's okay. It just, usually it rotates our names. Mr. Gallant, you're up.
Thank you, Madam President. First item I have is approval of financial report. The board is asked to approve the financial reports from February 2022 as recommended by the Chief Financial Officer. And we are graced tonight with Mrs. Capo, present in the back of the room, who prepares the financial reports for you. So I just wanted to just point out that. It's just a, yes.
Love the attention.
Item 2, approval of expenditures. The board is asked to approve an expenditure in the amount of $106,500 to Ohio Paving for district crack fill and seal coating under the Sourcewell contract number OHR2PA02102021 OPC as recommended by Chief Financial Officer and the Director of Maintenance and Operations. So every 2 years we go through this to maintain this, all the roadways and parking lots and everything else on this campus. And what they do is they'll go through any cracks, they'll mark it out, the catch basins, and then they'll fill in the cracks and they'll do seal coating and striping all through the campus.
How many years do we do this? How often?
Every 2 to 3.
Yeah, and again, depending on how bad the winters are, Jim assesses it and does that, but yeah.
And we always send out notice to our neighbors when it's gonna happen, that might not be the weekend to do the barbecue in the backyard because of the tar smell. So we let them know.
Thank you.
The next item is the board is asked to reauthorize an expenditure in the amount of $438,887.62 to Logicalis for infrastructure upgrade, network closets equipment, switches, cabling, UPS, as recommended by the Chief Financial Officer. E-rate funding eligible at approximately 50%. This is the same amount you approved last month to the same company. This is a replacement. What happened is that some of the components didn't meet the E-rate eligibility. And so Darcy met with Logicalis, they swapped out some of the components, same price, but we wanted to make sure that we would qualify for the same eligibility. And one other note too is that I wanted to note is that in talking to Logicalis after that, the E-rate funding still has to go through the federal approval piece. Logicalis said, hey, if we have to wait for funding for the final approval, we were not going to start the project till later on, mid to late summer. Approval is expected sometime in June. They won't begin to do that because they would then get the discount and give us 50% discount. The other option is that we just get reimbursed for that amount once approved, but then we could cut the PO for the full amount and then we get rebated back that amount. So that's the route that we would prefer to take so we can get the project off the ground. And so that's the other thing that we wanted to put out to the board as well. The last piece I have is the tax rates fiscal year 23. The board is asked to accept the amounts and tax rates listed as determined by the Lake County Budget Commission, authorized by the necessary tax levies, and authorize the chief financial officer to certify them to the county auditor as recommended by the chief financial officer. So the board approves the tax budget, saying, here's what our levy taxes are, here's what we need to collect. The county budget commission establishes the tax rate necessary to collect those, and then they send it back to us to approve. So it's just kind of a paperwork approval. This authorizes them to collect at those rates that they established. So it's a requirement that we have to put on. So those are the 3 items I have this evening.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve for the CFO's report?
So moved. Second.
Who seconded that? Andy second. Questions?
Yeah, the rebate, it's a low risk, right? Like we were getting.
Yeah, so we do this regularly with smaller type components. We need this infrastructure upgrade anyways. We have to go and do this. They have never not approved us on something like this. This goes out to all schools and libraries in the whole country. Tippy actually is an expert in this. She's a former E-rate person, but Tippy, your experience, do you know of anyone where they haven't?
No,
Yeah, I mean,
it's like an insurance
but
company.
it's if it's 98% or 99%, the company's not going to take that risk and just do it for 220,000.
Right.
They're going to want to make sure that they get their whole thing. So we're the ones that need the work. So they prefer us to take that minimal risk because we need the work and not them. So.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Anyone? Okay, thank you, Mr. Gallant. Would you please do the roll call?
Yes, Mrs. Foley,
Yes.
Mr. Leidig,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mrs. Trevsker.
Yes.
Mr. Welch.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, I just want to know one thing. Because some components changed out, I just want to make sure that the list of components that we had on the latest is what matches for the contract, and that's why.
Okay, we have unfinished business listed, but really some of our new business is kind of unfinished. So I kind of categorize this together. Does anyone have any unfinished business they need to discuss? Because under new business, we have some things. So are you good if I go, Dr. Thompson, or did you have something?
Oh, no, we're good.
So we had talked at one of our previous meetings about getting something together for the Perry Rec Board, since we have to appoint 2 people for the Perry Recreation and Senior Center boards. I just handed everyone an example of what we'd like to propose to possibly put out there. Basically, the Perry Recreation Board oversees recreational activities for youth and seniors of Perry Village, Perry Township, and North Perry Village. The board is comprised of 1 appointed representative of each entity, as well as 2 representatives from the Perry local schools. So as we mentioned before, it's been 2 board members, but instead of it being 2 board members moving forward, we talked about taking interest from the community, and we would go ahead and appoint 2 people to fulfill that role. So the Board of Education appoints 2 volunteer members annually to serve on the Recreation Board. Anyone interested in being appointed to the Perry Rec Board as a volunteer school representative should submit their letter of interest as well as application by April 15th, 2022. Please include any relevant experience as well as an explanation of why you're interested in the position. And then we bullet pointed some things that we think would be great attributes or skills that would be helpful for someone that would want to be in this position. So I just wanted to, Nikki and I know Nikki and Jesse are currently serving on it. I had been on it the last 5 years. I know Mark has served and Andy has served. Everyone has already done it. So I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on if we go ahead and advertise a statement like this out to the district and not actually have an application process, but have, someone just send a letter of interest and tell us why and why they want to be a part of it and participate.
So the letter, not as well as an application, but in lieu of an application?
Yeah, I think, does it say?
Oh, yeah.
It says as
Yep,
well
we
as
would
an
have-
application.
Good catch. We'll correct that. We could take that out. Yeah, so instead of an actual
Yeah,
application.
just a letter of interest. I don't think that there really needs to be a formal application because it's not like, something that
Yep.
specific.
What do you guys think? Jesse?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's just, are we looking at, I know we spoke about before, maybe one, depending on the number of
Right.
interested individuals, would one person would be more interested in gearing towards like the senior center side we've spoken about before, and then one would be towards rec.
I think that would personally, that would be my hopes, is that we have one that leans toward one and one that leans toward the other. And
But
as a
obviously,
vested
once you're on the
interest,
board, you deal
you
with
do it
both.
both.
Right.
Yeah,
I didn't know we spoke about that before, so I didn't know how we were gonna try and separate the two depending on.
Yeah, it's gonna definitely overlap, I
Yeah.
think.
Exactly.
yeah, they have to.
And you
they-
want it to overlap, but
Yes.
we want to make sure everyone's interests are represented.
I think the only other thing, I mean, what we could do in here is just put maybe some more, if we wanted to put more explanation of what exactly it entails, like the planning of fall festival, meeting on a Monday every other month. of the
Yeah,
first-
the second
Monday
Monday
every
of the
other
second
month.
month.
Duties that.
A list of duties. So we could maybe dress it up a little bit and add a few more of those details, if you think, and be, I don't know, yeah,
Well, I can share a document if everyone wants to add to it. Would that be helpful?
yeah, why don't you do that? And then,
We can do that because we're not like voting on anything.
yeah, so at this point, we're just saying, let's get this document out there, and as soon as we're good to go with it, can we have it sent out somehow so that we can kind of advertise it? It would help if it was through the district, through
District
Infinite
website.
Campus, a district website, multiple avenues of getting the word out that this exists. That's something. So if we send it out through Infinite Campus as an email, it would go to our current families,
Yes.
K through 12.
Yep.
Okay, so that would hit that group. And then any others, obviously, I think we would ask the Perry Village and Perry Township as well, since they, and in North Perry Village, to also take their part and help advertise for the position, their
Okay.
positions, the voluntary positions
Yeah.
in the senior center. Okay, all right, so if you share that document, we can all just add to it, and then, I think the goal was to have this, well, on here, it says April 15th, to have a letter submitted by then. I'll look at my calendar real quick. Our next meeting is April 5th.
That's a Friday before the next meeting.
So the 15th would be before the 19th.
Yeah.
Do you guys think we should move up when to have the letters to us by? Does that give people enough time? Make it the 8th?
Yeah.
Like the week before,
But that means we need to have what
or April 11th?
send out before spring break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so we just need this cleaned up by the end of the week.
Yeah, let's try to get this out by
I
Friday.
mean, we're still not even on break next week. Yeah, why don't we change the 15th and say, have the letters to us by April 11th? That way we have all the letters of interest by a week before our next board meeting. So on April 19th, if we want to go ahead and appoint people, we're ready to make that decision.
Yeah, I don't think the next meeting's till May 9th, I believe.
The actual meeting,
The next record meeting is May 9th at 5
Okay.
PM.
maybe put that on there too. And what the commitment looks like as far as time and hours and all the things that they do. I think if all 5 of us have access to the document, we can add some bullet points there.
Okay, you should have access. But
So-
check your Perry Stew accounts, because that's where it goes. Nobody checks Perry Stew.
Nope. Okay, are we good? Okay, next. Oh, the board retreat, skip that one, that was number 1. Just wanted to, we talked about having our board retreat, had an idea of, I think some of us held the April 28th, Thursday evening, the Hannah Bananas event.
Yeah, that's gonna be held at Independence School District.
It's in their
Yeah.
school district.
Right, it'll be at Independence.
Okay.
And there'll be boards from, various districts that will be attending.
Okay,
If we would like to, as we had talked, maybe tag on some additional time for a ministry retreat before that during the afternoon hours, early, before the evening. Independence would be happy to give us a room, or the ESC of Northeastern Ohio also has space that is reserved for us if we want to use that. The problem we ran into is while Emily Spivak is back to work, she's not available on that day. She's only available either April 27th or
May
May
26th.
26th.
May 26th.
Or we need to talk in June because she's involved in a lot of contract negotiation pieces. And so she's not available. So what we could do if we want to stick with the 28th, try to find another facilitator, either through OSBA or BASA, that has a lot of knowledge about board operations to come in, and we could, search for replacement. And then you could always have Emily come out in June, again, if you like.
Yeah. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, if anybody's able to take a partial day off work. I think we talked about possibly maybe noon to 4 or noon to 5.
Yeah.
Or 1,
Yeah, whatever time, worked, I mean,
something like that. And then that thing that evening, on that Thursday evening starts at, I think I held 5 o'clock. It was the.
they're gonna serve a box lunch and then, have a presentation, and then there's gonna be breakout time for us to reflect on the presentation as well. So there will be some time for us to have discussion based on what we experienced that night. So there'll be some time there. So
You're available that day.
I mean,
Okay.
surprise.
I can take that afternoon if I need to. If we can make- Yeah, we're talking about Thursday, the 28th, if possible. Now, this is all banking on the fact that you can get some other,
we could find somebody that's
someone from
going to
legal.
be credible, could do that. We haven't, I didn't call yet to see.
Okay.
NASA has someone they highly recommend too for board relations. I don't have the name off the top, but they might be helpful.
I was gonna call Dave Axler. As soon as if we wanted to, if we thought that time would work,
Okay.
then I would seek out. We have space,
And it's, the space
Reserve.
is free, right?
right?
So, and
I mean,
the
Independence-
event that evening starts at 7
We're not
or
sure.
5. I'm sorry, it starts at
We're-
5.
We're not sure exactly what time that event is. He has not locked in the starting.
I
time, but
wouldn't,
it's
I wouldn't think they would start at 5. If they're expecting
Probably
five to
not.
work. So I mean, we could even start at like 1 or 2.
That's what I was thinking. We start at 1 o'clock and we have from 1 until that event
Yeah,
starts.
yeah.
That gives
Sometime,
us some time to have
early
our board.
your
retreat.
afternoon, where we put 3 or 4 good hours in,
Mhm.
and then we can go there and have dinner and have that event, and there'll be a little more time afterwards probably, so that'll be a full day together.
Yeah. Mark, how about you? You thinking? Yeah, May,
And
possible?
like I said, we can go to Independence, and just be there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But, and maybe you want to start with lunch.
Right.
Because I gotta eat, lunch.
Oh, we'll
'Cause
schedule
that
lunch.
box dinner, I'm not really excited about that.
So who is planning on going to that evening event anyways?
I was.
I know I am.
Jesse,
I thought you were already on there.
Jesse,
You're on there. Andy?
Yeah.
You're going.
Mark's tentative.
No, you are.
Maybe.
Sounds like fun, huh?
Should be interesting.
Can hitch a ride. One of us. So I want to throw that out there for the idea for our board retreat, to go have that time together and collaborate and with legal counsel and do some board
That's fun.
sessions. Okay. So if you can confirm with,
We'll work together. Yeah, we'll get after it this week and see
Okay.
what's available. I'll call BASA, and then I can also, OSBA's got somebody too. I don't know how good they are.
Okay.
But BASA, I mean, they're usually pretty good.
say plan on starting at 1, that way people can leave here at
Yeah.
noon, get there in time. Okay. Awesome. Okay, one of the other questions that had come up, and we had seen some information in correspondence or calls and emails, was about the Auburn selection process. So I did distribute a letter to all of you. I emailed it out earlier this week, as well as I sent a video clip that Dr. Brian Von Temple, the superintendent for Auburn, had sent out. There was some communication had gone out as a little bit of a misunderstanding, and some of it was miscommunication on the actual selection process of students. So I just wanted to see if anyone had questions. I think this letter clarifies exactly what they're doing. And so did the video message that I sent to you guys this week. I think it helped clarify what's going on. It's not as random as maybe everyone thought, and it sounds like majority of students have an opportunity to get into a program. So very few. If they have an abundance of students. Okay. Review the policies. So we're going to review those and
Yeah, I don't know if
These
you
are
had a
first
chance to
reading.
look at those.
any questions.
This is actually our time of review. We've had a first reading, and then we'll have a second reading and adopt as our next board meeting, I believe. That's where we're at. 'Cause we typically would do these at the work session, which
Right.
you're kind enough to
Postpone.
be our hero for the day. But it's okay.
Called a snow day.
So I don't know if you have any questions. Again, I can go through them real quickly. The College Credit Plus Program 2271. This is mandated by Ohio Revised Code 334532. And basically, it's just requiring male students who are 18 years of age to register for selective service if they want to participate in College Credit Plus. So they just inserted a paragraph in the existing policy. So not a whole lot of options there. Blended learning, it has just been revised because of changes enacted by Senate Bill 229. The latest change in statute emphasizes the requirement for non-computer-based learning opportunities that must be included in any blended learning program, thus drawing greater differentiation from online learning programs. And so, again, insert one little line of clarification in policy 237.001 from blended learning. The dress and grooming, interesting policy. Optional language has been added to state what is legally required with regard to enforcing the dress code in a non-discriminatory uniform manner and affirming any student's rights to dress in accordance with their gender identity within constraints of the adopted dress code. The language is an option because there is no requirement to include such language in policy or administrative guidelines. Implementation of such measures is required in accordance with stated principles, whether they are in writing or not, in order to comply with Title IX and Title 12, I believe it is. So you can see changes that I've recommended. in the first paragraph there, I chose not to include that first sentence. And then again, you're taking out some pronouns and making them gender neutral when you're stating some of the bullet pointed items. And then I did select, I chose to select that final the second to the last paragraph on the back in green there. The option was to choose one of those. So if you have any questions or clarifications, now's the time.
We are not approving these tonight, correct?
No,
No,
this
this
is
is our first reading.
This is, I usually come to the next board meeting with any recommendation changes, and then we will approve the second reading, and I usually make some comment and we've included any suggested edits from the work session, which we didn't have.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so yeah, you don't have, if you see something later, we can certainly, as an individual, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
No problem.
But just not as a board.
Weapons, 5772. This policy has been revised to include the most recent definition of weapon, to include incendiary devices, explosives, and other objects defined as dangerous ordinances under the state law. The definition is with revisions to other weapon policies 3217, 4217. And again, so you can see the changes there. Just a clarifying point. 610 grant funds is a revision as well. This policy has been revised to include the latest changes to the Education Department General Administrative Regulations, or EDGAR. Mr. Gallant is very familiar with those, and Mrs. Capel, I'm sure. And so you can see that they've inserted letter F, maintenance of effort and maintenance of equity requirements of the federal program will be met in accordance with the requirements of the specific fund program. And just obviously districts will keep appropriate documentation. So that's the only addition there.
And maintenance of effort means is that what you spend in 1 year on a program, you have to spend the following year as well. They don't want you to supplant dollars from one area to another area and then use federal funds for that.
Yeah, and going along, the Treasury Department 6114 cost principal spending federal funds. Simply an addition and revision including prohibitions regarding costs incurred for telecommunications and video surveillance services or equipment to conform with those limitations and exclusions. And then all federally funded contracts in excess of 2,000 related to construction, alteration, repairs, painting, decorating, etc., must comply with the Davis-Bacon prevailing wage requirements. Yeah. I'll lean on Mrs. Capo to know what that is too. Policy 6325, procurement of federal grant funds. Again, it's just a revision based on what's required, and the same $2,000 related to construction insert is all we have there that are recommended for the revision on that policy. 6423, use of credit cards. This policy is revised to comply with the AOS requirement to include the procedure for credit card issuance, credit card reissuance, and credit card cancellation. So the CFO shall be responsible for the initial issuance, reissuance, or cancellation of district credit cards, and shall maintain written procedures and all appropriate records and reports regarding district credit card accounts, and so on. And that's just a little bit of an addition. And then on upon receipt of district credit card, letter E is being deleted, where it says immediately notify his or her immediate supervisor if the card is lost or stolen, or if she becomes aware of a date breach, which may involve the card, because that's included in the previous piece. And we're pretty tight on that as well. 7217 weapons, again revised. Same, as I talked about in the previous policy. In this policy is advised to include the recent revisions from volume 40 of the 3217, 4217, and 1617. The Ohio Supreme Court ruling in support of the two statutes from Revised Code 109.78, Revised Code 2923.122, regarding necessary training for any staff designated by a Board of Education to carry a concealed gun during the workday. The definition of weapons has also been updated to align with our current policy and law. That's not part of our policy to allow that at this time. Food services, 8500, again, it's just a revision. This policy has been revised to include appropriate references to conflict of interest and ethics policies that apply to food service procurement practices, and clarifies the food milk substitution provisions. And that is an addition. Those are just a bunch of policies that are listed in letter D and under substitutions. And that's really all we have for policies.
Thank you. We'll continue to review those, and they'll be on our April 5th report. Okay, other correspondence and announcements from the Board of Education. Upcoming events and meetings. There'll be no classes on March 28th through April 1st, as that is spring break. The next special Board of Education meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 5th, 2022, 6:15 here in the Tarbuck Center Conference Room. The district will also be closed on Good Friday, April 15th, 2022, and there will also be no classes held on April 18th, the day after Easter. The next regular Board of Education meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 19th, 2022 at 6:15 here in the Tarbuck Center Conference Room. Do we have any public participation, Gina? Signed up? Anyone? Okay. I believe, pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22, I hereby move the Board of Education adjourn to executive session for the purpose of considering the sale of property at competitive bidding, since disclosure at this time would be give an unfair, competitive, or bargaining advantage to a person whose personal private interest or adverse to the general public interest. And we will not be conducting any business after executive session.
We're going to invite Village.
And we're going to invite the village into the executive session meeting.
Second.
I have a motion. I motion. Do I have a second? Okay. Mr. Gallant?
Mrs. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Leidig?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mrs. Tresker?
Yes.
Mr. Welch?
Yes.
And it is 7:03.
Yes. Thank you. Okay.